Welcome to Uping Stock Trend Prediction channel. So in this video, I'll talk about the prediction about the Tesla stock price for the next week, and also I will briefly review the prediction about the Tesla price for the past week. So before I talk about that, I'd like to mention, so these videos are the kind of analytical analysis results about the prediction and analysis of the Tesla stock's price and all other stock price if you are interested in any other type of stocks. So this is not the professional investment advice. But I think this kind of information are helpful for traders to make a decision. So in the future, if possible, if I can stream my videos so you can watch the real-time plots and the real-time prediction models for the actual weekdays. So, but if I want to stream that, then I have to have enough subscribers. So in order to reach that goal. So if you are interested in this kind of videos, you are welcome to subscribe. So the more subscribers and the closer to reach that goal to stream the real-time data, real-time plots. So let's go to Tesla charts. This is the Tesla weekly chart. This is the Tesla daily chart. And today is May 7th, Saturday. So in video number 72, predicted for the week, May 2nd to May 6th. That's basically the first week in May. I uploaded into YouTube in the last weekend. So this is the first week of May, basically May 2nd to May 6th. That's the past week's data. And Friday, Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, and Monday, so real-time data. So that's 5 each bar. That's 1 day's real-time data if you check the daily chart. And this kind of a trend line, yellow trend line and the blue trend lines, this kind of trend lines are predicted by the Uping algorithm. So that's basically represents the minimum and maximum price trend line. So in video number 72, I predicted for this week, the fluctuation region is basically from this point, this trend line, around this trend line, and the intersection between this vertical bar and the trend line, the minimum price for that week. I mentioned the $846, and for this I also mentioned if it exceeded this trend line, then the target maximum price could go up to this trend line. So this trend line is about $964. So it could fluctuate between $846 and $964. That's my prediction in video number 72. The actual fluctuation for this week, you see this, the minimum price for this week, this minimum price is $842. $842 is just $4 different from what I predicted for the minimum price for this week. And the maximum price of this week, this is around $956. So it's just about $8 different from what I mentioned, $964 for this week. So if you just really see this kind of plots, it's almost touches this trend line. That's the predicted maximum price trend line, almost touches this trend line and then started to drop. So it's very close, a little bit, has a little bit small gap there, but it's almost very close to this $8 difference. And even for this trend line, so it also reaches this minimum price trend line, but it just has a little bit more decreasing momentum. So it decreased a little bit more, just $4 of a difference. from what was predicted in video number 72. But anyway, $4 of difference out of $842 of actual price, that relative error is still very small. I think it's very small. It's maybe like less than 1%, 1% or something like that. So even for this $800 difference out of $956, that difference is still not very big. So it's still have a very good prediction about this fluctuation range. So I also predict in video number 72, so Tesla price will have a temporary rebound. So check this daily chart, and on Monday that's this chart, this bar chart. So Monday it opened around here. So that's a Friday closing price before video number 72. It closed here, and when it opened here, dropped below this trend line, it has some kind of dip around this to this trend line. When it almost touches this trend line, you see, almost touches this trend line, and it started to rebound. So that day on Monday, it increased to this above this trend line. So generally closing price is here, and the opening price here. So it has an increasing trend, temporary rebound on Monday, and Tuesday when it opened a little bit below here, and also it have a temporary drop, but finally it also still have a temporary rebound, and the maximum price increased to this level. So it's a kind of in transition region. You see it transitioned from this band to this band. Transition around this is a little bit of struggle around this trend line, and then on Wednesday when it opened here, it's below this trend line, and so it opened here. But generally for that day, it still has an increasing momentum and a temporary rebound, and increase to this yellow trend line, above this yellow trend line. So it still have a strong increasing momentum, increased above this yellow trend line. So generally for this kind of yellow trend lines, it represents the maximum price or high price region. So when it reaches to this yellow trend line, it generally it has almost reaches the maximum price region. So when it reaches and even exceeded due to a little bit more increasing momentum, and increase to this one, and then started to drop. And generally for this top yellow trend line, it will typically not reach to this top yellow trend line, but if it reaches to top yellow trend line, definitely it will start to decrease. So because that represents the highest or upper bound, the maximum price. So on Thursday, when it dropped below this trend line, so it's not a good sign, because it's already increased to this high price region, and then the next day when it is opened below this yellow trend line, so generally it represents it will have a decreasing trend, a decreasing momentum. So on Thursday, it almost like continuously dropped down to this band, to this lower level, low price region band, below this trend line. So it has a kind of decreasing trend, and Friday also has a decreasing trend. But anyway, all this 5 days of fluctuation, this week basically is 1 week's fluctuation. It's within this band, within this two trend line. So that's within the prediction, what was predicted in video number 72. So it's still a relatively good prediction. So I'd like to mention in video number 72, I also predicted for early week. For early week, the range is $845 to $897. So that's early week. That's exactly happened for Monday. So for Monday, you see for this Monday, it minimum price is $847. So this point, $847 is just a $2 difference from what was predicted, $845. So $2 of a difference, prediction error out of $845 of a price. The relative error is very, very, very low. I think I didn't calculate that, but I think the relative error probably is just around 0.5%, something like that. So just $2 of a difference for the predicted minimum price for the early week. And even for this maximum price, I predicted $897, and $897, that's this point. So this is also reached. So that means the temporary rebound, it reached the predicted value for the early week, and due to it still have a high increasing momentum, so it increased even a little bit more. So, but anyway, that target maximum price is still reached. So that means it still have a good prediction about the early week. So okay, so what will happen for the coming week, for the next week? So many people will be interested in that. So today is May 7th, Saturday. So for the coming week, this is a daily chart, and you can see this daily chart, this trend lines still have a little bit of declined trend, and the weekly chart also have a little bit of decreasing trend. So next week, and we still need to pay more attention to those kind of a decreasing trend, but it will still fluctuate with a kind of temporary rebound, but it's kind of fluctuation. And for 60 minutes chart, you can see for this last 60 minutes, the closing price almost reaches to this level, 866. That's basically the closing price for that week. It's about $866. So you can see for this 60 minutes chart, it's decreasing, and then it started to have an increasing trend. So, and also this is the 60 minutes of before the market close, and when it closed here, and then the last 60 minutes chart, and it opened here above this trend line, and then started to increase. You see, it's still increased another band to another upper level. So it means it will have some kind of increasing momentum. So if you check the other short-term chart, it also shows this kind of temporary rebound trend. So for the early week, so there's a high possibility that it may open high, and open a little bit high, or maybe around this $875 or $870, open a little bit high, and then maybe it will have some kind of a temporary try to rebound, or it may drop down even to this $846. So for early week, the fluctuation region is around this region. So it's about $846 to at least $875. So if it has increasing momentum, if it increased above $875 and can sustain that, and then the next target price could be 902. But 902, this is still a kind of a fluctuation region from this $845 to $902. So that's for the early next week. But it also may have a little bit more decreasing momentum. If it dropped below this $845, it could drop down a little bit more to this kind of maybe like $840 or around this area. So for the next week, For the whole next week, the fluctuation region is around this, among this region. So that's a minimum price for the next week is about $813, and the maximum price for the next week is about $949. So the fluctuation region is around this fluctuation region, so between these two trend lines. So that's the fluctuation region with the highest probability. So if it has strong decreasing momentum and decreased even below this $813, and if it cannot sustain that, it may drop a little bit more below this trend line. But if it has a higher or much higher strong increasing momentum, can increase above this $948, $949. If it still have a high increasing momentum, then the next target maximum price is about $1,000. But this $1,000 or $1,017. But this one definitely, if it goes up to this trend line, it will have a much less probability. You see, I showed this monthly chart during also at the end of last month, and also during the first day in the last video, in video number 72. So you see, generally last month went to have a decreasing momentum, decreasing trend, and dropped it here, closing at here for the last month. And for the first week, you see this fluctuation of the last week. That's basically the first week of May. The fluctuation region is exactly between these two trend lines. So it closed at this price, so it still has a little bit of decreasing momentum, closed at here. And if you zoom it a little bit, so the monthly chart for the first week, monthly chart, it closed at here, and it's still the trend line, the minimum price trend line is still here. So it may have a tendency to still go down to revisit this trend line, and then generally, and then this trend line could be a support, and it's also is a kind of a support. So when it reaches to this trend line, so it will have a much higher probability or tendency to go up, to have a rebound. If I zoom it back, so generally for the first week is already moved, fluctuated between this region. So for this month in May, this month is still, you see there's still another gap space at this level. So I mean, it will have a much higher probability or very likely to reach to this band, to touch this trend line this month. So the general fluctuation region is in this region, enclosed by this major trend lines. So if you are interested in this kind of prediction and analysis, you are welcome to subscribe Uping Stock Trend Prediction channel or watch more videos. So as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, so the more subscriber, the closer to reach that goal to stream all this kind of a prediction charts and the plots. So that means if it is streamed, that means you can watch all those type of different real-time charts, even including the 60 minutes or 15 minutes charts. So if some people are doing day trade, so you can see this is a 60 minutes chart. You can stream, if you stream all these charts, then you can watch the real-time change of this charts and the movement. So for example, for this 60 minutes chart, you can see this kind of a fluctuation for each vertical bar. That's a real-time data. So you see this kind of a fluctuation are enclosed by some trend lines. So you see this touches this trend lines, exactly touches this trend lines, and started to reverse, either started to rebound or started to drop. So this is the trend line. This yellow trend line or blue trend lines are predicted trend lines. It was predicted even before that time frame has started. So that means the next 60 minutes or next day or next week or even next month's prediction are already predicted, generated, and typically except the current month. So all other the predicted trend lines, those kind of trend lines will not change if the previous trend lines is closed. So you can see this kind of a prediction, and basically even for the current time frame, current day or current 60 minutes. So you can see this kind of fluctuation are captured by this kind of predicted trend lines very well. So you see for this kind of, it exactly touches this trend lines, and this exactly touches this trend lines at this minimum and maximum price point. So you can see this is a historic previous time frame. So you can see all these kind of predictions and the fluctuations are captured and also matches this kind of trend lines. So even for this trend line, for this 60 minutes, you see it dropped. It has a very strong decreasing momentum, so it decreased below this trend line. So when it decreases this trend line, it has some kind of a special minimum price, a special dot. When it reaches this special dot, it started to rebound, and you see this started to rebound and also captured by these trend lines, and then it moved to this trend line and shifted to another band, upper band, because this is already the band below this trend line, and then it shifted to this band between these two trend lines, and then it shifted to another band, upper band, between these two trend lines. So even though these trend lines have a decreasing trend, it's decreasing, but when it shifted to an upper band, to a band above for the above trend lines. So that means it shifted to an upper band, even though it fluctuated this, and then shifted to this higher price region band for between this yellow trend line. So you see, and also for this fluctuation in this 60 minutes, the minimum price and the maximum price are also touched and matches by this trend line, prediction trend lines. So that's about 60 minutes. And even though for this kind of trend line for that day, I think this day is for the last month. I have a very good prediction for some previous videos, and I predicted it will open high, and for that day when it was closed at here and is directly opened here, it's almost, I think for this day is almost opened above with $100, something like around $100 increase or opened high. So when it opens high, it's much above this yellow trend line. So that means it will not sustain with this kind of a high price. So it will, even though it will fluctuate around this band for this 60 minutes, it will finally drop because it's too high above this top trend line. If it's above this top trend line, no matter how long it will fluctuate, and it will have a temporary rebound, a temporary increase or fluctuate, then finally it will decrease. So the trend will decrease and the price will drop. So you see this kind of a continuous drop for each 60 minutes. It dropped to this band. So if you are interested in this kind of a video, you can watch more videos in YouTube by search Uping stock trend prediction channel or videos. That's just moved backwards up to, you see, this is a time frame. This is March 29th. So that's just a move to the previous time frame.